Today we're gonna tell you the storyline of a film called Avatar, from the year 2009. This film tells us the story of a humanoid species tribe called Na'vi, who live on an exomoon called Pandora, where a precious element called unobtainium could be found. The humans were certainly interested in the potential of these resources, which makes them do everything they can to get it to the last bits. Before we start, please support our channel by subscribing, and click the bell icon for future notifications. Now, let's start. The film starts in 2154, when the Earth was having a severe energy crisis, where an ex-Marine, named Jake Sully, lived. He was paralyzed from the waist down, due to his severe spinal injury, during his service in Venezuela. But despite being in a wheelchair, he still tried to enjoy his life. Until one day in a bar, he saw a woman being harassed by her boyfriend. Jake was fed up, and about to beat him up. But he failed, and got beaten instead. And got kicked out of that club by the guards, for the fight he started. Outside, he was approached by two men, and was taken away. He turns out was taken to see Tom's body, his twin brother who was already dead. He then offered a job to replace Tom in a research project. He was promised a big paycheck, so big that he can cure his legs. After being asleep for 6 years in a capsule, Jake finally arrived at Pandora, with the Resources Development Administration or RDA, who were there to mine the precious unobtainium of Pandora. Pandora was an exomoon with dense forests, but with high carbon dioxide levels in its atmosphere, that toxic to humans. Pandora was inhabited by a humanoid species tribe called Na'vi, blue-skinned 9 to 10 feet tall species, who were worshipping a mother goddess called Awa, the center of the Na'vi's spiritual universe. Jake was included in the mission, since he had the exact same genes to his brother Tom, where Tom was one of the scientists in that mission. The scientists created avatar bodies, that later could be controlled by humans. And there was an avatar belonging to Tom, which was going to be Jake's. There Jake meets Dr. Grace, the avatar program leader, and also Tom's colleague. She disagrees with the decision to replace Tom's position with Jake, since he wasn't a scientist. She then reported her disagreement to Parker, where he said that she could have been thankful for Jake's existence with his matching genes, because if he wasn't there, the avatar body they have developed for Tom was going to be a waste. The next day, Jake and his scientist friend named Norm Spellman were doing a test run to transfer Jake's memory to the avatar body. When he awakes in his avatar body, he was so happy to be able to feel his legs after a long time. He then runs the test, literally. Runs around happily, feeling his feet and toes.
Hey, Marine!
Grace?
Not long after, Grace approaches him with her avatar body, and greets him with a yovo fruit. When the night came, they went back to their camp, and slept. And when their avatar body fell asleep, they went back to their human body. After the test run, a pilot named Trudy Chacon invites Jake to a tour in the hangar. She also introduced Jake to the RDA Security Operations Commander, Colonel Miles Quaritch. Miles then ordered Jake to always report to him about Pandora, and promised to pay Jake with a pair of legs.
Can you do that for me, sir? Hell yeah, sir.
The next day Jake went into Pandora Forest with Dr. Grace and Norm, to collect some sample data. They then visited an abandoned structure, that was used to be an English school for the Na'vi children. But unfortunately, it was no longer used as a school, but as a storage facility. When Dr. Grace and Norm were collecting sample data, Jake went away from them, and was distracted by a retracting plant called Helicaidian. But unlucky Jake then approached by big animals called Hammerhead. Seeing that, Grace told Jake to stay calm. And finally, the Hammerhead stepped back. But not because of Jake, it was because of the appearance of a beast, called Neytiri, right behind him. Therefore, Jake fled from the Neytiri, and got separated from Dr. Grace and Norm. He tried to shoot the beast, but it was useless. Until he was forced to jump off the cliff into a waterfall to escape the beast. After successfully escaping, Jake was lost in the middle of the forest, while the day was getting darker. In the darkness, he again was surrounded by a group of beasts. But fortunately, he was saved by a female Na'vi, named Neytiri.
Hey, wait, don't!
Then Lost Jake keeps on following Neytiri, until he irritates her. But suddenly, the seeds with a sacred spirit called Wood Sprite swarms and perched on him. Neytiri thought it was a sign of good luck, so she brought Jake to meet her clan. But midway, he was again being surrounded, not by beasts, but by the Na'vi clan, who was led by Sully. After Neytiri explained about the condition, Jake then was brought to the clan leader, who was also Neytiri's father, named Atakan. He did not commend her decision to bring the Sky People, or the humans, inside their clan, until Jake was approached by Moat, Neytiri's mother, the spiritual leader, who was capable of interpreting the Awa's will. And according to the interpretation, Jake was sent by Awa for them. So she ordered Neytiri to teach Jake everything about their tribe. And since then, Jake learned a lot of knowledge about the Na'vi tribe. This is a huge fortune for the RDA, including Colonel Miles, because Jake can easily be their herald. Parker even ordered Jake to move the tribe away from the tree, because the biggest unobtainium deposit on Pandora was lying right below it. When Jake was explaining about the home tree to Colonel Miles, Max eavesdropped on the conversation, and reported it to Dr. Grace. Grace wasn't happy with Miles and Parker's involvement, since they are not scientists. Therefore, Dr. Grace, Norm, Trudy, and Jake went to the Hallelujah Mountains to prevent Miles from taking over the Avatar project. They then landed on a research center there. And after Jake returns to his Avatar body, Neytiri immediately brings him to see her Ikran. She said that every Ikran was going to choose one Na'vi for the rest of its life. And when Jake is ready, he could have his own.
Naughty.
This is very important.
Listen, sound. They'll do.
Jake learns about the Na'vi tribe for days, and when he goes back to his human body, he made his reports in video messages. At the research camp, Jake asks Dr. Grace about the English school story. She then told him that Neytiri's sister was one of her students. She was furious about the illegal logging the humans did, and then stormed the mine office and killed some of the humans. It angers the humans, so that they kill Neytiri's sister and destroy the school. Even though Dr. Grace manages to rescue some of her students, the Na'vi tribe are already mad and have lost trust in the humans. The next day, Neytiri felt that Jake was ready for his Ikran.
You're ready.
Jake, and some of the Na'vi, then went to the Hallelujah Mountains to pick an Ikran for Jake. Neytiri said that the best Ikran is the one who wants to kill them. Until finally Jake has found the best Ikran for him, and by connecting their Q, or Tswin, he managed to control the Ikran, and flew together. On the flight, Neytiri also shows Jake the Tree of Souls, a sacred place to the Na'vi. After getting his Ikran, they went for a hunt together, but in the middle of their hunt, they were startled by a huge beast, called Toruk. They hardly managed to escape the beast. Neytiri then said that her grandfather was a Toruk Makto, a title for someone who was able to tame a Toruk. The greatness of a Toruk Makto is well known, and highly respected by everyone of the Na'vi. And after 3 months in his avatar body, Jake finally returned to his human body, and he was immediately approached by Colonel Miles, who was coming for the promise Jake had made, about moving the Na'vi from their home tree. Jake then asks for more time, due to his acceptance in the clan the very next day. But Miles then threatened him to deliberate the home tree, if Jake didn't manage to move the tribe. After the acceptance, Neytiri brings Jake under the Tree of Souls, where they confess their feelings to each other, and officially become a couple. The next day, Neytiri awakes to a bulldozer, destroying the Tree of Souls. She was trying to wake Jake up, but since he was still in his human body, his avatar didn't respond. And when Jake finally went back in his capsule and went into his avatar body, he immediately disarmed the bulldozer.
Keep going, he'll move.
And escaped with Neytiri. Watching that, Miles went furious, and felt betrayed by Jake. He then took his man to the Hallelujah Mountains, to take down Jake and everyone there. The attack triggered Sute, which made him gather the Na'vis to also attack the humans. Grace tried to prevent the attack, since she knew that it wouldn't stop Miles. Jake and Neytiri, who have just arrived, also become Sute's target of anger, saying that Jake has taken Neytiri from him. Thus, their fight was inevitable. At the same time, Miles and his men just arrived at the research camp, and immediately deactivated Dr. Grace and Jake's capsules, which sent them back to their human bodies. At night, Sute and the Na'vi troops attacked the unobtainium mine, and angered Miles even more, that he was determined to annihilate them all. Dr. Grace then visited the mine head office, and asked Parker to end all the BS. She said that he was not about to just destroy a tree, but a home, of a lot of families, and kids.
There are families in there. Are you going to kill children?
But he insisted, and gave Dr. Grace and Jake an hour to convince the clan to move, before the attack occurred.
1 hour.
They then tried to convince the clan, but they were taken as traitors instead, and were detained. After the 1 hour mark passed, Colonel Miles and his army came to attack the home tree. They burned the giant tree down, and managed to kill Adukon, the clan leader. Seeing the chaos, Moat then immediately freed Dr. Grace and Jake, so that they can help them to defend the clan.
Bring it down.
But sadly, they didn't manage to defend the home tree, and could only watch their home burned down by the humans in tears. And they were forced to move away from there, to look for a new home. Meanwhile, Jake and Dr. Grace were forced back into their human bodies, and were put under arrest. But fortunately, Trudy came and freed them from captivity, and flew them to Hallelujah Mountains. But they were spotted by Colonel Miles, where he shot them, and he managed to hit Dr. Grace. To regain the Na'vi's trust, Jake then goes to the Toruk, and tries to tame it. And after he finally connected with it, he immediately flew to the clan's shelter, with the Toruk. It shocked the Na'vi, and made him regain their respect. Jake then convinced Sute, the newly appointed clan leader, that he was on the Na'vi side, and determined to protect the clan too. Soon after, Jake begged Moat to heal Dr. Grace. She then tried to transfer Grace's consciousness to her avatar body, but they were too late, and Dr. Grace died.
Grace.
It made Jake's resolve stronger, and used his Toruk Makto title, to gather power from other clans, and declared a war against the humans. Sensing about the big war before them, Colonel Miles then planned an early attack on the Tree of Souls. The night before the war, Jake prayed to Awa for help.
There's no green, more scope.
The next day, Miles took off with enormous number of troops. Meanwhile, the Na'vi also prepared their sky troops, and ground troops at the same time. There were a lot of casualties from both sides. And some of the Na'vi troops decided to fall back, because there were many fallen troops from their side, including Sute and Trudy. Meanwhile, Jake was still Miles' main target. When Miles' troops were about to reach the Tree of Souls, Miles' troops were suddenly stormed by animals, which Neytiri assumes that it was the answer from Awa to Jake's prayer. And thanks to that, Jake managed to damage Miles' aircraft, and nearly knocked him off of it. But Miles managed to survive, before the aircraft fell and exploded. Then Miles spotted Jake's capsule, and was about to destroy it. Fortunately, Neytiri came at the right time, riding a detonator. Which then Miles managed to kill the detonator, where its body fell on Neytiri, and squashed her. Shortly after, Jake came to the rescue. Jake was trying to fight Miles, but Miles managed to destroy Jake's capsule first. When Miles was about to kill Jake, Neytiri managed to free herself, and shoot Miles with arrows to his death. Meanwhile, Jake in his human body fell unconscious, due to the toxic air in Pandora's atmosphere. Seeing that, Neytiri immediately gave him the gas mask, and saved him. They then goes to Sute, who was badly injured. He then pleads to Jake to end his life, and become new leader to the clan. After the war, all the humans were sent back to Earth. Except Jake, Norm, and a few other scientists, who were on the Na'vi side. Soon after, Jake made his last video message, and decided to become an Na'vi fully. And the film finally ended. What do you think of this film? Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts on the comments section below. If you have any suggestion for our next recap, please do tell us in the comment as well. And until next time.